Hello, this is Mr. Buffington. Welcome to our lesson on order of operations. This is kind of like a review for Algebra 1 students. If you're taking a pre-algebra course or something like that, you may have not heard of this before, but for Algebra 1 students, this will be a bit of a review. Basically what we're talking about when we hear the words order of operations is we're talking about something you may have heard. They're called I don't know how if you just pronounce that out, but some people say, "Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally." It's also referred to as bedmas, depending where you're watching from. And what it is a set of orders that we do every operation. So the first one, P, like please, would be for parentheses. So if we see a math question, we're going to solve what's inside the parentheses first, and then we're going to go to E, which is your exponents, and then you do multiplication and division from left to right, and addition, subtraction from left to right. So now that I told you that, you should know everything you need to know all about order of operations. Maybe not quite yet, but what we'll do is I'll do a quick little kind of like memory test, see if you remember what we just talked about. Which one of these is correct? Over on the left we have 3 plus 2 times 5. And first, on the left side, they multiplied 2 times 5 to get 10, and then added together 3 plus 10 to get 13. Over here on the right, we did 3 plus 2 is 5, times 5 is equal to 25. So you see the order that you actually do these operations does matter, and it will change the answer. But what we want to know is which one's correct. There's our correct answer right there. The correct solution is 13. Remember when we talked about please excuse my dear Aunt Sally? We do multiplication and division before we do addition, subtraction. So in this case, we did it in the correct order. 2 times 5 is 10 before we added them together. Let's look at the next question I have here. This one here I added in some parentheses just to make it a little bit more fun. All right, we don't like saying it's complicated, but we'll say it's a little bit more fun. And here we have 2, and then inside of parentheses 3 plus 2, minus 4 divided by 2 times 3. So that's a pretty complicated question right there. But we figure that if we break it down and do it step by step, it should be pretty straightforward. So we remember, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. The first thing we do is the parentheses. So everything inside the parentheses will get done first. We can also look at this and say, well, this is subtraction, and that's division and multiplication. So basically what we're going to do is that this subtraction is saying minus everything over here solved. So we can start solving on that side by doing some of the division and multiplication starting from left to right. So in our first step we're going to do 2 things. First we're going to add 3 plus 2 and get 5. And we're also going to do, we just started left to right and started with 4 divided by 2 is equal to 2. Remember, multiplication and division are like that. You don't do multiplication first and then division. You do them in order from left to right. So we would do 4 divided by 2 first. The next step, we will multiply 2 times 5. When you have parentheses right beside a number, it implies that you are multiplying. So this means 2 times 5, which will give you 10. And the subtraction is, remember, left till the very end. 2 times 3 is 6. And now we can do 10 minus 6, which is equal to 4. This is a more complicated order of operation question. It has several elements. When you have a fraction like this, you'll do everything on top, basically, and everything on the bottom, and then take care of the fraction at the end. So let's go ahead and use the order of operations for this question. First we have 6 times 3, and we have minus 2 times 5. What that means is that we can do the multiplication first. 6 times 3 And we can do 2 times 5, both in the same step. So 6 times 3 is 18, 2 times 5 is 10, because we have that subtraction in between that won't get done until the last. We're also going to look at the bottom and say everything inside the parentheses gets finished first. So 10 divided by 5 is 2. In our next step, we're going to multiply 2 times 2 on the denominator. And then we're going to, because we have 18 minus 10, we can go ahead and solve that to see that we have 8 on the top, or in the numerator, and 4 on the bottom in the denominator. And 8 over 4 is also equal to 2. We're going to do one more problem really quickly here. And in this question, we have something that some people like to call brackets. It's like a second set of parentheses. And when you have brackets on the outside, that means it means that you will have something in parentheses on the inside. And with order of operations, you start on the inside and kind of work your way out. So we'll start with 5 minus 3, and then we'll work our way out to the other problems. So inside parentheses, we have 5 minus 3. We can complete that in our first step. We can also do what's inside the parentheses here in our first step. 7 minus 4 is equal to 3. I've included, in the next step, I include getting rid of these parentheses. We really don't need these parentheses because 3 times 2, it just means the same thing. It means it's multiplying. And we're saying 3 minus, or minus everything inside the parentheses, so we just are subtracting 3. So I added one step here just to remove the parentheses and make it look a little bit neater so that we can understand that those parentheses, once we do all the operations inside them, then they really lose their purpose. And in this case, yeah, we've done all the operations inside it. We have just a number. We're subtracting that number. So inside our brackets, we still have 3 times 2, which is equal to 6. Again, we did all the operations inside the brackets, so now we can get rid of them. 6 minus 3 is equal to 3, and that's the way we would solve this question. It's a lot of steps here. Some of these steps may seem like they're extra, but I just wanted to be clear what we're doing every step of the way. The final check is I have a little question for you. I solved it 2 different ways. One of them is correct and one of them is incorrect. And you can go ahead and look through it and choose the one that you feel is the correct answer. All right, you can pause the recording now, try and find your solution, and when you unpause it, I will have it circled in green. There you go. This is the correct solution here. We did what was inside the parentheses first, 3 minus 1, or 4 minus 3 is 1. And we did the division over here. 6 divided by 3 is 2. On the denominator, we had 6 minus 4 divided by 2. We did the division first, and that's the main difference here. The division was completed first because that's the correct order of operations. So 4 divided by 2 is 2. Now we have 6 minus 2. And then we just simplify. 2 minus 1 is 1. 6 minus 2 is 4. In this one here, we got rid of the parentheses. We just completely ignored them on the numerator. And in the denominator, we just did all of the operations straight from left to right. 6 minus 4 is 2 divided by 2 is 1, and that's just not right. You have to do the division first. So hopefully this lesson has helped. Have a wonderful